of this speech is called How to Create the Winning Mindset. So, let's go ahead and begin. You know, there are simple things we can do to go ahead and change our mindset. And today I want to tell you about a special experience in my life that I'd like to share with all of you. Imagine if you could simply turn a button and change the way your life worked. You see, for me, I grew up with scoliosis as a youngster in my life. And for those of you who don't know what scoliosis is, it's when you have your back, and it's not necessarily straight, it goes into a curve. And I entered high school in a body cast. But that wasn't it. Because like of all of you in this audience, I too had my own setbacks. And I want to show you as an example, looking at my life, how each and every one of you can go ahead and overcome those challenges that you have. So let me take you back to when they discovered that I had scoliosis. It seemed as though I was 13 years old and they had me bend down and touch my toes. Everyone else got to walk on by, but me, they said, I'm sorry, you can't pass by so simply. You got to do some exercises. I don't know about you, but I was 13 years old and I said, exercises? No way, I'm not going to do exercises. I'm better than that. 2 years later, it passed.
Where's all the people?
And this time I was running around the racetrack. And when I ran around the racetrack, I suddenly stumbled on this rock. And I broke this growth plate, my back. And suddenly I started walking with a limp. And the curvature of the spine had doubled. And they then said, okay, we're going to have to put you in a body brace. Now, I don't know about you. Has anybody ever been in a brace before that controls your whole body? Stand up. This is group exercise. Everybody up, 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 up. Stand up.
We gotta get up.
Put your hands on your waist and squeeze as tight as you can. No, you got to go tighter, 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 tighter. Does that feel good? No. Okay, sit down. Now, for me, I had to wear this brace for 24 hours out of the day, 22 hours of the day. I could take it off twice. Number one, when I got in the pool and I went swimming, it was my life's passion, or I took a shower. And the saddest part was, when I actually learned to sleep with this thing on, they said, I'm sorry, this doesn't work anymore. And so then the next thing, I was with my dad, and we were walking down the street. And I remember the day that we were walking down the street, and he looked at me and he said, they're going to have to do an operation on your back. And there's a part of me that cried out because that meant for 6 months I couldn't follow my greatest passion, that was swimming. But he said, sometimes in life we have to do what we don't want to do. And so as we fast forward, there I was in the hospital bed. And on one side, there's a line of all my buddies from the swim team who are coming by to see me. And on the other corner over there is the cards of all my friends. And I remember sitting there by the bedside, and there was this lady, and she was an occupational therapist, and she said, okay, I know that you have a love for the pool, but we've got to find something for you. So she made me this manager, and I don't know what I did, but there's a book that says, if you do something for more than 100 hours, you can become an expert. Well, you see, I started the stairs, you know, those Stairmasters that you do, inside my bed because I didn't want to lose those muscles of my legs because exercise is really important to me. And at the time, I got to watch the people on the swim team. So when I graduated, I became high school most valuable player. But that wasn't it in life. You see, life isn't always easy. Because in the next step, I'm going to tell you about my family. Anybody in this group have a family member who's not like the others, kind of causes problems for all the rest? Let me see by a show of hands, how many can relate to that? And sometimes you get drawn into the drama of it all. Well, you see, my younger brother had attention deficit disorder. And at the time, they didn't know what to do. And so what they did is they gave him certain drugs that made him supposedly calmer, and he didn't get along, and there was all sorts of yelling and screaming and hollering. But there's one day I'll never forget.
You know,
as I tell you this part of the story, my heart starts pounding faster and faster and faster. You see, on this particular day, they came to get him. They came to take him away to this retreat. And I remember on that day, he came up to me with a knife. And the next second, he was running. And he jumped over the fence, and he went over the hill. And they came in, and they gave him this medicine that knocked him out.
this about the child?
He no sooner had walked into what was his new home when he was abused by someone else. And his life went downhill from there. And you see, sometimes in sorrow and tragedy, we can become the victim or the valor. And I remember reading this prayer that I heard, and I want you all to repeat it with me because it's a Hawaiian tradition. It's called Ho'oponopono, and it has 4 simple phrases. The first one is, I love you. Repeat after me. I love you.
I love you.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Please forgive me.
Please forgive me.
And thank you.
And thank you.
I sent these words to my brother where he's at. And as a miracle happened, you could see him change his life. The letters that he wrote were unbelievable. And I recently, just this past weekend, I learned of something new that I want to share with all of you. Because I'm always an inspiration of what I share, and I like to share with other people. And so I was given this challenge.
Hey, that's all
And
right.
I want to see by show of hands who wants to join me. For the next 30 days, I want you to say that phrase. I love you, I'm sorry, thank you, and please forgive me. Who wants to join me in that 30-day challenge? And they said if you say these 4 phrases for the next 30 days, amazing things will happen in your life. Amazing things will happen in your life. And so as the story goes ahead and continues, one day, something had happened to me, and this person misperceived me, and they got really upset, and they made this huge accusation of me. And when they made this accusation of me, he happened to have called on the phone, and he said, Rosalyn, remember, you're better than that. And so we took the change of time, and here he was on the other side of the coin, and he was going ahead and advising me. But that wasn't all. You see, life has its own barrels and things that we can go ahead and overcome. And I want to show you this thing on my foot here. This thing on my foot here is I recently had an operation on my foot here. And some people think of surgery as a horrible and as a bad, as an awful thing. But I want to tell you how the surgery on my foot actually turned out to be a positive thing. Because I'm a person who runs 180 miles an hour. And 2 days after that operation, I was doing leg lifts in my bed. Up and down, up and down, up and down. And what I learned in the process of slowing down, I learned what was really important. I had time to do my daily meditations. I had time to figure out where I was going. And so today, in sharing you these beautiful stories, I want to ask you this question. If you're enchanted by what I said and you think that public speaking is really easy, I'm going to tell you it's entirely not. It takes training, it takes coaching, and so on and so forth. I'm going to give you an offer that you can't refuse. The first 2 people to raise their hand will be the recipient of these beautiful pictures that I will sign for you of the 2 books I've written. One is called Dogs and Roses, and the other is called Random Acts of Kindness. If you'd like to work with me for 30 minutes, and you'd like to be the recipient of this, please go ahead and come on up. The first 2 people will get to be the recipient of these 2 things. Ready? On your mark, get set, let's go. You gotta run, you gotta run, you gotta run. All right, thank you so very much. God bless you.